All right, so we've got a little game that we're going to play with Betty to commemorate the impressive scope of Betty's life. We're calling the game Older Than White. Now, Betty is going to read off a series of clues, and after each one, Lisa and I will guess whether Betty White or the clue is older.
Yeah.
All right?
You know
This could go horribly wrong.
This could go horribly wrong very easily.
All right. Who's older, Betty White or the Empire State Building?
Betty White.
I think the Empire State Building.
Ah, it's Betty White, I'm sorry.
Oh, really? Wow. You're right. You got it right.
The Empire State Building was completed in 1931.
Okay. All right.
Who's older, Betty White or the polio vaccine?
Betty White.
Betty White. I'll say Betty White.
Oh, yes, because the polio vaccine was developed in 1952.
Oh, okay,
Wow.
good. Yeah.
Who's older, Betty White or the airplane?
The airplane.
The airplane,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the airplane took flight in 1903.
All right, good.
Oh, and who's older, Betty White or the TV?
Betty White. Betty White.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. You say it so confident. The cathode ray tube was invented in 1923. I was born in 1922. That's 1922.
1922. Yeah, that's amazing. That's great.
All right. Who's older, Betty White or women's right to vote?
What year did the women give the... I'd say Betty White.
No, Betty White.
Betty White, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Women's right to vote. 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920.
Oh.
So there,
2 years.
there is somebody.
Okay. All right. I thought it was much later than that.
Who's older, Betty White or Mount Rushmore?
Betty White.
I don't know. I don't know what... Mount Rushmore.
Betty White. Mount Rushmore was completed in 1939. I graduated from high school in 1939. All right. Who's older, Betty White or the Grand Canyon?
Grand Canyon.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Okay. Who's older, Betty White or the thong?
The thong?
The thong? Do you mean the thong? Are you sure you read that right?
I don't.
The thong?
Unless it's tahong.
I would.
She looked at the answer.
No, I couldn't see.
Well,
the
I'd say
answer.
Betty.
I saw the
When was?
thong.
I'd say Betty White. The thong was probably more recent.
Well,
the thong,
most
of
believe
course.
the thong was introduced at the 1939 World's Fair.
Was it really?
I wonder who checked on it.
We'll end on a high note. We'll end on the thong. That was great. That was great.